my woman, and you are asking her if I am right.
Jane, is he your fiancé? Jane. Jane. Is he your fiancé?
Kelly, please.
Welcome back. This is still a woman's world. And this is a condition usually associated with men, but as many women and their hairdressers know, receding hairlines is not just a male problem. While many possible remedies abound, this week's trends will focus on a more medical solution. Find out more.
Long, full, lovely locks, the desire of many women, albeit not the reality. While some might start off life with those features, they usually don't end with it. Cueing the condition called alopecia, or better known as hair loss. Hair loss is a condition that can affect everyone from all nationalities. However, certain beauty habits and genetic factors can cause black women in particular to be susceptible to more forms of hair loss, like this hairdresser knows only too well.
I've been attending to like 5 of my 6 customers since maybe like 10 years back now, and their hair is still there. They are still keeping it because they don't braid, they don't do bonding. There are sort of things that makes front hair goes. Once you bond your hair, you wanted to pull it out, you pull with your hair. Once you braid your hair, some people will braid like 3-4 months, they'll still be carrying the hair. Then once you are like, I have to finish my money. This hair is so expensive, I have to finish. They will carry it like 3-4 months. At the end of the day, the front hair will go from there. But to regain it is not something that is easy.
Like myself, I noticed that Ghana weaving breaks my front hair, so I stopped making it. And over time, it has really helped my hair. And my front hair is actually coming out. I don't put pressure on it anymore.
I think it's because of the type of braids they do. You know, people like, especially when we do Ghana weaving, we tend to lose our front hair mostly when we do that. Then when we do all these tiny braids, like the one on my hair now, in fact, I'm sure I will lose some, but I'm trying to replenish it with some creams to bring it back.
The good news is many of these forms of alopecia are not permanent and can be treated. Dr. Ayo Otubanjo runs Vinci Hair Clinic in Lagos, Nigeria, a clinic that provides quality hair treatments to both men and women, the latest being hair transplants.
Hair transplant is obviously a surgical procedure. It's not for every type of hair loss, it's only for some types of hair loss, perhaps the majority of hair loss. For black people, the FUT is the preferred option for very obvious reasons, because the structure of our hair, obviously being curly, doesn't allow the FUE option to be the ideal option to use. So transplants would involve, with the FUE, would involve the excision or the cutting out of skin tissue, usually at the back of the scalp or sometimes at the sides of the scalp.
Due to advancements in technology and medical techniques, Dr. Otubanjo says the surgery usually leaves women with barely visible scars on the scalp. From his experience, the most common sort of hair loss many women suffer from is what is locally referred to as the Mama Eko syndrome.
It won't come as a surprise to tell you that the majority of cases of hair loss in women in Nigeria is what we call traction alopecia, or better known as Mama Eko syndrome. I've only just found out in the last year that that's what it's called, by the way. So, and basically that is the result of tension. I'm talking like extreme pressure being exerted on the hairs, and usually affects the frontal area of the scalp, because the follicles in the frontal area are the weakest for the follicles on the scalp. That is the reason why you never lose the hair or traction alopecia on the other parts of the scalp, or only the front. So with the combination of the inappropriate use of chemical relaxers, which weakens the hair follicles anyway, combined with a very tight pulling and twisting that braiding involves, over a period of time, perhaps months or years, those follicles get damaged. And when they get damaged, the hairs that they produce are very thin and very scanty. And over a period of time, those follicles might just die totally. And that's why some women go totally bald in that frontal fringe.
But not everyone is accepting of what they deem a surgical solution to a natural problem.
Hair transplantation, I really don't believe in anything not being natural. The best thing I think is just for you to get a good cream to bring back your hair. That's my own way.
You cannot force nature to do what it doesn't want to do. They are trying to force nature to grow their hair, isn't it? But they cannot force nature to grow their hair. When they do the transplant, at the end of the day, it breaks. Well, I said that is a particular time. It will leave it for a particular time. But at the end of the day, it will still break off.
For the skeptics, Dr. Otubanjo believes early detection of traction alopecia or receding hairlines can increase the chances of other non-surgical hair treatments.
By the way, it's very easy to know when you're suffering or when you're about to start suffering from traction alopecia. So for instance, you might start getting bumps around the area of your front, the frontal bit where you've done your braiding. Sometimes you might get a lot of headaches, because of the tight braiding. And then one sure sign is where when the braiding is taken off, and it's a sense of relief that, oh, wow, at long last this thing has come off my head. Those are usually the signs that you're going to have traction alopecia. So the earlier you come to the clinic, the easier it is for us to prescribe mass medication, to try and reverse the damage to the follicles.
Still, like with any medication, there can be side effects.
All medication have side effects. If you read the instructions on them, you'll see them. Or you might have this, or you might have that. But it doesn't affect everyone. It might be just a tiny proportion that will suffer the side effects. That's number one. So, with medication, with minoxidil, for instance, the topical medication, it's usually the itchiness, it's usually the white flakes that sometimes might come from your scalp, but nothing serious. In the most extreme cases, we've heard about people having swollen hands and feet, but those are really rare cases.
Since statistics show an overwhelming number of black women suffer from traction alopecia, it is not a condition to be ignored, as it can lead to permanent hair loss. So whatever method one chooses to employ in preventing, reversing, or managing it, starting early is key.
And we've come to the end of the program. I hope you enjoyed every single bit of it as much as I did. And as I prepare to sign out, here are some words of inspiration just for you. From all of us here at The Women's World, we say thank you so much for watching. I am Chris Ero.
My name is Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I'm the chairperson of the African Union Commission, and you're watching TVC through African Eyes.
Why TVC News? Well, local knowledge. We know Africa so well because we are Africans, telling the continent's most complicated stories in the simplest of ways. Africa is a unique continent with many languages, peoples, and cultures. It takes one who knows. It takes Africans. It takes TVC News to tell the African story, the African way. TVC News, through African eyes.
Breaking news never stops. It happens when you list the facts. From Al-Shabaab in Somalia and Kenya, to Boko Haram in Nigeria and Chad, building collapses in Lagos, to infernos in Accra, double parliaments in Libya, to beach bombings in Tunisia. Stories that impact your world. TVC News cover the entire continent, 24 hours a day, reporting stories on Africa, by Africans and for Africans. So you can stay informed. TVC News.
At TVC News, we know the news Africa needs, so we give it to you. No agitation, no empty noise. Our news hour brings you all the important news from across the continent and the world. We will report the stories that matter to you and give you heads up on stories that can affect your wallet. We also tell you how your favorite teams are faring. African newscasts from an African perspective. And that's the reason TVC News tells Africa's stories every day.
Why this case wrapped up from the 1st of October? Independent.
The beginning of next season. Also Director, Mission Business School, Larry Shileko.
An investigation into the recent killing of
TVC News follows every story through its meandering paths. No matter where the fact leads us, digging up background information we would not otherwise have. We give you full, in-depth and thorough treatment of the stories so you understand what is at stake. Our eyes are on the ball. TVC News. Focus.
Hello there, thanks for joining us in TVC News. I am Mike Okwacha, the headlines. Libyan court again postponed Saadi Gaddafi's criminal case hearing to February next year. Sierra Leoneans in crucial population census seen as benchmark of the country's post-Ebola recovery. And high-speed winds and heavy rains continue to batter the United Kingdom. The trial of Saadi Gaddafi, the son of deposed Libyan strongman Muammar Gaddafi, has again been postponed till February next year. The decision is to enable the court confirm if the second defendant, Mohammed Abdullah Senussi, is still alive. The fate of Mohammed, whose father is the former Libyan spy chief, Abdullah Senussi, is unknown, as he also is standing trial for the murder of a football player, along with Saadi. Saadi is also being charged with other crimes before the 2011 revolution that ended his father's rule. Saadi's long-running battle with the Libyan judiciary was highlighted in August when state prosecutors said they were investigating a video that appears to show guards beating him in prison. Hopes of peace in Libya may not be misplaced after all. This is because the country says there are plans to form a national unity government by the end of the month. Foreign Minister Mohammed Al-Dar made the announcement on the sidelines of the Africa-China Forum in South Africa. Al-Dar says Libya has made progress politically and a national accord will cement further progress that will bring back investors, especially Chinese companies, to help finish off several projects on housing and infrastructure. And according to him, apart from China, Russia has also been supportive of a restoration of political progress in Libya. The country has been in political turmoil following the overthrow and killing of Muammar Gaddafi in 2011. More details are emerging from the attack at a Cairo nightclub that killed no fewer than 16 people on Friday. Preliminary investigations have ruled out the possibility of a terror attack, and the Egyptian police have arrested 2 suspects in connection with the firebombing. The Interior Ministry said the 2 admitted that they had thrown Molotov cocktails at the nightclub in Cairo in revenge for having been refused entry earlier. The 2 Cairo residents, an 18-year-old student and a 19-year-old mechanic, were arrested in Suez province on the Red Sea coast after fleeing the city. Algeria's ailing president, Abdulaziz Bouteflika, is back home after undergoing 2 days of medical tests in France. The 78-year-old was tested at a cardiology unit in France, where he was also hospitalized in November 2014. Bouteflika won a re-election last year, but appeared only once during the campaign in a wheelchair after suffering a stroke in 2013 that has affected his movement and speech. Reacting to doubts raised by prominent public figures over the aging head of state's ability, Prime Minister Abdelmalik Salel insisted in November that Bouteflika was in full control. Sierra Leoneans will for the next 2 weeks go through a national or a nationwide census seen as a benchmark of the country's post-election or post-Ebola recovery. The head count, twice postponed, will see some 3,000 surveyors fan out across the country collecting data on population demographics, housing provision, agriculture and the impact of Ebola. The last population count was 11 years ago, and population was put at 4.9 million then. To underscore the importance of participation in the census, President Ernest Bai Koroma had to put off attending the China-Africa Summit in South Africa.
The 2015 population and housing census is to increase the availability and accessibility of accurate, timely, and reliable data on demographic, economic, and socio-economic characteristics.
No fewer than 100 people have been displaced following 2 separate fire outbreaks in Cape Town, South Africa. The first inferno broke out at a Military Heights informal settlement in Seawinds on Saturday. Up to 70 wood and iron structures were destroyed, leaving between 100 and 150 people homeless. 3 hours later, another started in Canterbury Street in Elsie's River. A dwelling and 3 wood and iron structures were destroyed, while 7 people were displaced in the process. Reports from the city's fire and rescue service say no one was injured or killed in the fires. The China-Africa Summit in Johannesburg has rounded off with the hopes of a win-win situation between the continent and China. With a pledge of $60 billion of capital assistance and other incentives, analysts say there is a prospect of a long-term partnership for all sides. TVC News' John Jacobs has the story.
The president of China, Xi Jinping, closed the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation on Saturday after pledging financial, military and other support to Africa. Xi Jinping told African presidents at the summit that his country will provide $60 billion to fund development on the continent, outlining that the Asian country wanted to build a relationship of equals. The money would fund a 10-point development plan that looks to develop industries in need.
Independent and sustainable development brings more opportunities and vast prospects. China will closely bind together its own developments with Africa's development to strive for common development for China and Africa. No matter what era or the development changes in societal development, China and Africa's understanding for each other and the desire to make progress together will not change.
26 deals were reportedly signed with the South African government, some of which aimed at developing the country's power capacity. South African President Jacob Zuma, who co-chaired the summit with Xi Jinping, thanked the president for the commitment made to Africa before officially closing the summit.
A package of capital assistance to support the 10 areas to the tune of $60 billion was announced. This includes grants, preferential and concessional loans, a China-Africa Industrial Cooperation Fund, and debt relief. This is a significant amount.
The Chinese president started his visit to Africa on December the 1st. He paid a 2-day state visit to Zimbabwe before flying to South Africa for a state visit at the forum. The 2-day FOCAC meeting is the second time China has brought together African leaders since the forum was launched in Beijing in 2000. John Jacobs, TVC News.
The Southern Africa Development Community seems uncomfortable with Lesotho government's decision to challenge the report of a commission of inquiry into the killing of former Army Chief General Maparankoe Mahao in June. And to drive this worry home, South Africa's Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa has been mandated to communicate the concerns of the bloc to Lesotho. Mahao was shot dead by soldiers who came to arrest him, allegedly for complicity in a mutiny against Prime Minister Makathila Mosisili. During the hearings of an inquiry, representatives of the Lesotho Defence Force said that Mahao had been shot by the soldiers who tried to arrest him after he fired at them with his pistol. But Mahao's family and opposition politicians have insisted that he was assassinated. You're watching TVC News. Will bring you more stories after this break. Stay with us.
Lower your cholesterol with the natural power of added plant sterols in Flora Proactive.
The problem with a skinny organic mocha macchiato with extra hot soy Yax foam yoga mat infused Achino is it's just not tea.
If you're paying through the nose for broadband, you might be tempted to give up and become a full-time off-grid spoon whittler. But wait! Plusnet has an offer you're gonna love. Unlimited broadband free for your entire 12-month contract when you take line rental. How many spoons do you really need? Feel the love with unlimited broadband free for your whole contract. That's better. Be quick! Unlimited broadband free for your entire contract. Offer ends 8th of December. Great service at a great price. It's broadband that loves you back. Call 0800 313 4444. Plusnet will do you proud.
Nom 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 nom. Pedigree Jumbo. It goes om and nom and nom. Om nom 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 nom.
I believe that the very best stock is made from quality ingredients. That's why I use Knorr stock pots, slowly simmered to perfection. They help give a rich and meaty taste that makes my best spaghetti bolognese. Simply stir in and really taste the difference. Some say you can't buy taste, but I disagree. Knorr stock pots. Try it for yourself.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Yahaya Bello of the All Progressives Congress winner of the Kogi State governorship election in central Nigeria. APC won with 247,752 votes in the supplementary poll. The main opposition party, the PDP, followed closely with 204,877 votes, and the Labour Party with 8,761 votes. One of the things paramount on the mind of Pope Francis is the success of the ongoing climate change conference in Paris. The Catholic pontiff, who says he's closely following the work of the conference, took time out to pray for its success this Sunday. The Pope says he was reminded of a question that he asked in a recent encyclical, which issued an urgent call for the defense of the environment. He urged that every effort should be made in Paris to mitigate the impact of climate change. At least one person has been reported dead as high-speed winds and heavy rains continue to batter the United Kingdom. Police say they believe the man was killed after he was blown into the side of a moving bus. Scores of several flood warnings are in place in England, with 2 more issued in southwest Scotland. People are now being evacuated from their homes as police in the area have declared it a major incident. Prime Minister David Cameron said that the army had been mobilized to help those affected. Affected residents describe the situation as particularly catastrophic.
I can't comprehend it really. In 2009 we thought there were devastating floods, and I don't think I can emphasise the word devastating enough on this occasion. It's been tragic, absolutely tragic. This has been the worst we've ever seen.
Police have arrested a man who stabbed 3 persons at an underground station in East London. One man suffered serious knife injuries and is in the hospital in stable condition, while another man received minor injuries. Eyewitnesses say the attacker screamed, "This is for Syria," before carrying out the attack. London Police Counter-Terrorism Command say they are treating the attack as a terrorist incident.
I see a guy huddled on the floor behind the barriers and a guy brandishing a knife. It was a small blade, probably about 3 inches long. And then he's screaming, "Go on then, run, run." And there's just just people like wanting to go forward to try and help the guy, but the guy standing on just right next to him, just brandishing the knife. So.
Meanwhile, Londoners are already beginning to react to the incident, but many say the attack wouldn't deter them from living their normal lives.
What happened yesterday was really awful, but it's one person who obviously has some wild ideas, and so I don't kind of think it's going to happen again. So there's no point in worrying about, you know, travelling, because otherwise you'd never go anywhere.
I'm going to continue with my way of life as it is. I feel that they achieve nothing by being violent.
No, to be honest, on any type of public transport, especially when there's not really enough security or things like this. Obviously yesterday was pretty much a security breach. Nobody knew that would have happened. Obviously if the person had like a weapon with them, that's quite a big thing. I wouldn't really feel comfortable.
But the police reacted really quickly. I was on the bus, they had everything stopped, they had everything cornered off, so like the reaction was really quick, and that's really good. So everyone's on alert. So I think if things are going to happen, they're going to happen, unfortunately.
The vessel bringing a controversial shipment of reprocessed nuclear waste met with heavy surveillance as it docked at an Australian port after a 2-month voyage from France. The 25 tons of waste originally came from an Australian reactor producing radioactive isotopes for industrial and medical uses. Its journey had been a cause of debate by environmental group Greenpeace, which questioned the choice of using such a vessel for the journey. French political leaders went to the polls in high-stakes regional elections just 3 weeks after the deadly attacks in Paris in November. Like other anti-immigration parties across Europe, the National Front is predicted to lead as many as 6 out of 13 regions after the first round on Sunday. Former President Nicolas Sarkozy's Conservatives are already predicting a landslide victory that will boost his chances for 2017. The French President's party, the Socialists, who now rule France and control most regions, are set to lose most councils to either former President Nicolas Sarkozy's Conservatives or the National Front. The governor of Aden in Yemen's southern port city has been assassinated in an attack that the Islamic State claimed responsibility. General Jafar Mohammed Saad Intaraj was attacked in the Tawahi district of Aden on his way to work. Eyewitnesses report at least 6 members of the governor's entourage also died in the attack. So-called Islamic State terrorists said they detonated a car laden with explosives as Saad's convoy passed and